For the latest in strategic affairs, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell icon for updates.
Hello and welcome to StratNewsGlobal. Late last month, the government appointed General Anil Chauhan as India's second Chief of Defence Staff, bringing to an end a lot of speculation whether that post, created with much fanfare in 2020, would continue to lead the three armed forces into jointness and integration and make them ready for future wars. That's the subject of this week's Ask Nitin. I'm Nitin Gokhale. After much speculation and delay, which was confounding a lot of people, the government finally announced the name of General Anil Chauhan, who was till then the military advisor in the National Security Council Secretariat, as the successor to General Bipin Rawat, who unfortunately died in an accident, helicopter accident, on 8th December 2021, cutting short his tenure as India's first Chief of Defence Staff. So at least one point is out of the way. Whether there would be another CDS appointed or not was the speculation amongst a lot of people, a lot of commentators, but that has now been taken care of. So what does General Anil Chauhan, who retired as Eastern Army Commander in May 2021, bring to the table? He has a rich operational experience, and of course this is true of any 3-star in the Indian Army who rises to become at least a corps commander. But what is unique about General Anil Chauhan, who now has assumed responsibilities of the Chief of Defence Staff in the rank of a 4-star general, equivalent to all the 3 chiefs of the Army, Navy and the Air Force, and therefore is now firmly in position, remains the first amongst equals according to the mandate given by the government in January 2020, when General Bipin Rawat took over as the first Chief of Defence Staff. The mandate was that the first Chief of Defence Staff or the Chief of Defence Staff would be the principal military advisor to the Raksha Mantri and of course to the Cabinet Committee on Security. He would also be someone who gives the advice to the government on the Nuclear Command Authority. He is part of the decision-making process there, and also concurrently holds the position of Secretary of the Department of Military Affairs, which was created along with the creation of the post of the Chief of Defence Staff when it was done in January 2020. Now, the main part here was that the task assigned to the Chief of Defence Staff was to hasten integration and jointness among the 3 services and then create theatres or theatre commands for effective war fighting based on what are the future requirements. General Rawat had started some work. Of course, there was a lot of pushback, there was a lot of recriminations. He was in a man in a hurry and therefore did ruffle a lot of feathers when he spoke about an Air Defence Command and called the Air Force a supporting arm to the Army, which created a lot of ruckus, and there was a pushback from the Indian Air Force. But all that is in the past. The task remains unfinished. The mandate is firmly in place, and therefore General Anil Chauhan has his task cut out. So what is the experience that he brings to the table, as I was saying right at the beginning? Well, he was commissioned in 1981 in the Gorkha Rifles, the 11 Gorkha Rifles, and going through the usual paces of commanding his battalion, then a brigade. He commanded the 19th Division based in Baramulla in Jammu and Kashmir as a Major General, then was Chief of Staff in the 15 Corps, which looks after the CI/CT operations in the valley and on the along the line of control in Kashmir. Then took over as the GOC or General Officer Commanding of the 3 Corps based in Dimapur, looking after the China border, mostly the eastern Arunachal Pradesh, which is a vast, undemarcated and disputed border with China, where he had a very rewarding tenure, I would say, because that's the time when the reorganization of that corps and the 4 corps based in Tejpur began. The ORBAT, the Order of Battle in that corps, began around that time. And finally, General Chauhan ended up as the Eastern Army Commander. Now, the Eastern Command of the Indian Army looks after the 7 northeastern states, then Sikkim, and of course, states like Jharkhand, Bihar, and West Bengal, and looks after both the Chinese border, which is a difficult border because of the terrain and the lack of infrastructure development, and of course the Bangladesh border, Nepal border, the Bhutan border, all that comes under the Eastern Command. It's a vast command, and General Chauhan again had a very important role to play in the Eastern Command. In between, he was Director General Military Operations when the Balakot strike took place in 2019, February 2019. So he was one of the planners, the military planners, who was in the loop when that strike took place by the Air Force, of course. And of course, after his retirement in October 2021, he was appointed as the military advisor to the National Security Council Secretariat and a principal advisor to the National Security Advisor, Ajit Doval. He succeeded Lieutenant General V.G. Khandare in that office. And then, of course, we had this unfortunate accident of General Rawat and his team near Wellington in Tamil Nadu, where all 14 on board, including Mrs. Rawat, were unfortunately killed. Since then, there have been speculations on who will take over as the CDS, whether there will be a dilution of the post, whether that post will not be filled at all, whether that post will be abolished. All that was happening in the past 10 months. And naturally so, because this was just the beginning of the reforms process that the government had rolled out as part of modernizing the Indian Armed Forces. It took almost 10 months to appoint General Chauhan to that post. And in fact, there were these questions by many people about this. But I will explain that as I go along. And what was the government's reasoning in not appointing anybody to that post until September 28, 2022. There was a slight amendment done to the requirements or the qualitative requirements for the post of the CDS when the government amended the rules and said the incumbent should be, can be a 3-star amongst the 3 services, but must be below the age of 62, thereby eliminating the immediately retiring or the preceding chiefs of the 3 forces who retired after attaining the age of 62, which was General M.M. Narawane, Admiral K.B. Singh, and Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhaduria, were immediately ruled out because of the tweak in the rules and regulations for appointment of the post of the CDS. But beyond that, now we know that General Chauhan has been appointed, and what are his tasks is what we should look forward to. There were some murmurs, of course, there were some objections by veterans that how can you have a 3-star coming and occupying the post of a 4-star after having retired in the 3-star rank, and then how do chiefs, the current chiefs, accept him? But there are precedents in countries other than India. Of course, this is the first experiment India is doing as far as the CDS is concerned. But when the Goldwater-Nichols Act in the United States was implemented for reorganization of the US Armed Forces, and they created the post of the, or reorganized the post of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Chairman Joint Chiefs of Staff, that time too, because of resentment and because of protests from serving generals and others, the American administration pulled out a retired general from retirement and appointed him as the Chairman Joint Chiefs of Staff to lead the 3 services that time, because it's not an easy task. each of the services have their own ethos, own history, own way of working, and therefore you need someone who can actually carry all the three along while not creating too much turbulence within the three services is what is needed to be done. And that's exactly why I think General Chauhan has been chosen. He worked with the NSA, who is the principal decision maker in these matters, for 10 months. I suppose he was being, sort of judged and assessed by the top leadership, including the Prime Minister, when he was appointed as the military advisor to the NSCS. And since then, he has been appointed as the CDS. Well, his task is cut out completely. He needs to hasten theaterization. If Indian armed forces need to be effective for future wars, he needs to make sure that redundancies in procurement, duplication in platforms and acquisition is reduced. I mean, the duplication is reduced, acquisition is made into a fast track process, and made sure that all the three services are on board. And if I know General Chauhan's career and his own inclination, he will grasp the nettle, as it were, and take the more difficult decisions before coming into the smaller decisions that he needs to take. There are already signs since General Rawat's time that the CDS and the DMA were moving towards more effective integration, jointness among the three services. The logistics and the maintenance nodes that were being created for the three services in a combined manner were already underway. And now General Chauhan needs to sit down with the three chiefs and look at what needs to be done first. He has to prioritize. Remember, India is faced with a two-front challenge from China and Pakistan. But more than that, the technology threshold of war or the forces have to be increased, so especially of the Indian Army. And to do that, General Chauhan needs to make sure that he holds the hand of the three services, gives them the adequate leeway, and yet make sure that all of them work together. So there are three challenges that he faces. One is prepare the Indian armed forces for future wars, which are going to be technology oriented, which are going to be swift, and may not be necessarily short, as the Russia-Ukraine war is showing us. 7th month into the 8th month into the war is still dragging on in Europe. Therefore, it is no guarantee that any war will end quickly, but they are going to be technology oriented. They are going to be based on AI, they are going to be based on standoff weapons. The future wars are going to be based on technology that is constantly evolving, and therefore all the three armed forces have to keep up the pace in adopting and then adopting these technologies and then dovetailing them into their war-fighting doctrines and strategies. So that General Chauhan will have to make sure that he hastens it, he accelerates this process, while the three services will do their own stuff, own decisions. He has to lead all of them and mesh them into one fighting unit. That's going to be his biggest challenge. The second is that the two-front war scenario has not gone away. Pakistan and China remain India's implacable foes, and they might combine together and launch offensives against India to keep India off balance. So how do you deal with that? He has to balance also the numbers with adoption of technology. Does India reduce the number of soldiers, the boots on the ground, or does it utilize those numbers that India already has in terms of the manpower into making them technology oriented and getting the best out of them as far as adopting fresh and new technology, more effective technology is concerned? All that he'll have to do. I'm sure, given his nature of taking teams along, sitting down and listening to everybody from what one has seen him in the field and in his past career. General Chauhan is well equipped to do that, and it helps, of course, that he was senior to all the current chiefs of the three forces. General Manoj Pandey, the Army Chief, ACM or Air Chief Marshal V.R. Chaudhary, the Air Chief, and Admiral Hari Kumar, the Chief of the Naval Staff. All three of them were junior to him by at least a course, one course as they say in the armed forces, and therefore he does not have that problem of having superseded anybody when he sort of sits down with them as first amongst equal. That apart, I think one of the other challenges that he has is to find resonance with the political leadership, the executive leadership of the country, to get more budget and utilize the budget smartly for making the armed forces future ready, as I keep saying, so that all the challenges that India faces, and there will be many more challenges apart from hot war. There could be just a cold peace kind of a thing with China, where there is a situation where there is no war, no peace kind of a situation on the line of actual control, like what we have on the line of control with Pakistan. So that brings its own challenges. Do you keep the army deployed forever, and the numbers, in large numbers, the troops are deployed there, or you keep them somewhere and then you use smart technology, the ISR is improved, and then you deploy whenever required. For that you require strategic airlift capability to be enhanced, although India has good strategic airlift capability in terms of moving troops from one theatre to the other. All these questions will be in front of him when he sits down. It's just about a fortnight since he took over. He will have an idea of how Indian defense companies will perform or will rise to the occasion when he goes to the Defense Expo starting next week in Gandhinagar, where Indian companies will showcase their products, their expertise, their skills, and General Chauhan will have to lead that effort of making sure that Make in India in defense and indigenization of the equipment is also concurrently effective, so that India does not depend on foreign sources for its defense equipment and platforms, or even maintenance and repair of the existing inventory that Indian Armed Forces has. So all in all, a major inflection point, a turning point in India's military history. Second CDS has been appointed, but where does he go from here? We have to wait and watch. He is likely to get, General Anil Chauhan is likely to get a longish tenure, because he is just 61 and a half as we speak. He was born in May 1961. So according to the original mandate of the CDS, he would have a tenure of 3 years or until the age of 65, whatever is earlier. So at least 3 years he will get to helm the important post of the Chief of Defence Staff. That's something that I wanted to share with you. I am told that we have a question which was sent to me by R.N. Prasad, who asked the obvious question that why did it take 10 months to appoint the second CDS, which I have answered partly, but I'll answer again. R.N. Prasad, if you are listening to this, the choice to that highest and crucial post is never easy, and the government needs to assess people. They need to understand whether the person who is going to be appointed will be able to carry the burden. It's a huge burden, it's a huge responsibility, and therefore I think my assessment that General Chauhan was assessed in the NSCS by the Prime Minister and the National Security Advisor, and after that he was appointed. And then of course it takes time. Bureaucratic processes are such that to first amend the rule for appointing someone below 62 years of age, and then getting that file cleared through all the departments and then finally going to CCS always takes time. So therefore the 10 months delay. At least that's my impression as an outsider somebody who's outside the system. We had a lady asking us a question on video, but she had to go because I got delayed in coming for this recording. Ankita Chatterjee is her name, and she is asked one question: how would the newly inaugurated Weapons Systems branch transform and enhance the overall strategy security of our country? Well, that's a specific question on the Air Force, Ankita. And the Air Force chief announced two major decisions during his Air Force Day address to the country and to the people in the Air Force, where he announced the constitution of the Weapons Systems branch, and a new uniform was unveiled the new combat uniform for the Air Force was unveiled on 8th of October, when the Air Force parade took place for the first time outside Delhi in Chandigarh. So the significance of the Weapons Systems branch is that now you have all the operational branches, all the fighting branches under one roof or one vertical, and therefore you'll have specialists, not just pilots but also others who help fighter pilots fight the battle, strike farthest and strike fastest. They all get integrated. Otherwise, you had the engineers separate, you had the weapons people, those who handle the missiles or the ground launch of missiles in a separate vertical. All that will come together, which will not only reduce expenditure, but will also increase effectiveness of the integration of the different branches of the Air Force, and make the Air Force much more agile and effective in combating all the threats that it faces on behalf of India, on behalf of the armed forces. So that's the significance of the creation of the Weapons Systems branch. And as I said, today the military needs to be swift, needs to be on its feet, and it needs to think in multi-domain warfare situation. And therefore, I think this is the right step taken by the Air Force. Something similar will happen amongst the three services, as the plan that the CDS will take forward, as the plan that has been envisaged by the government starts getting implemented one by one. It's a slow process. Don't expect overnight results from the military in this. Any change is painful. It is resisted by the system, by people who run that system, but the change has to come. As they keep saying, as it's an old saying, that the only constant is change in life as well as in the military. The military is slow to change, but when it changes, it's the fastest organization that adopts the change and gets used to the change very quickly. So therefore, I am very hopeful and I am very confident that the appointment of the new CDS is the right step and will enhance India's war fighting capabilities, India's combat capabilities going forward. That's all I have this week. I would have liked more people to ask questions and join us in a discussion on the camera, but let's reserve it for the other episodes in the future. For the moment, let me say this, that you already subscribed to our YouTube channel, but do spread the word. You know where to reach us. Do give us feedback, and any subject that you think I should be taking up for explanation like this in this weekly format that I do is always welcome. For the moment, it's goodbye.